Hello, welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Fidelia Aguncha. The Nigerian army has confirmed 4 civilians were killed in an ambush by Boko Haram terrorists in Borno State, northeast Nigeria. In a statement, Army spokesperson Brigadier General Sani Usman said 6 soldiers and 8 civilians were also injured in the attack. He said the soldiers were escorting the civilians to Maiduguri before the terrorists ambushed them. The army, however, stated its officials managed to repel the attack, injuring some of the insurgents and recovering a number of arms from them. The International Committee of the Red Cross and ECOWAS member states are meeting in Abuja, Nigeria's capital city, to review the implementation of humanitarian law treaties in the West African sub-region. The meeting, which began on Tuesday, is born out of the humanitarian consequences resulting from armed conflicts and other situations of violence in the region. The West Africa has been dogged by conflict over the last few decades, with Niger, Mali, and Nigeria the worst hit. ECOWAS and the Red Cross have been working since 2001 to promote respect for international humanitarian law and treaties into national legal frameworks.
Nigeria, on its own part, has domesticated the 4 Geneva Conventions of 1949 as early as 1960s, and it has remained part of our national laws. In order to aid implementations of this law, a national committee on the implementation of international humanitarian law was inaugurated on the 23rd of July 2010, with its membership drawn from key government ministries, departments, and agencies. And the committee is charged with the responsibility of ensuring that our national implementation is in tandem with the principles initiated in the 4 Geneva Convention and the additional protocols, for which Nigeria is obliged to serve as a state party.
This meeting will allow to go beyond this and to explore as well how to implement better, but how as well to envisage new tools to have a better efficiency on the ground. We are in a regions where needs are growing towards caused by conflicts and other type of violence. So the needs for the respect of international humanitarian law is of course very important in that respect. Member states are aware of this. This is why we have them in great number here.
We've had this collaboration for the past 13 years, and this year is the 14th year. But when you look at this year and the past years, the challenges that we now face within our region are different. 10-20 years ago, we didn't talk about terrorism. Now this is a major issue in our region. As we are now speaking to you, 3 of our member states, Niger, Mali, and of course Nigeria, are trying to combat terrorism within our region. So you can see that the agenda has changed, the focus has changed, and increasingly we have to find a way to make sure that indeed countries that are currently facing armed conflicts are able to make sure that the principles of international humanitarian law are adhered to.
The United Nations says it is ready to assist 40,000 refugees that have fled Cameroon's violent-hit Anglophone regions into neighboring Nigeria in recent weeks. The UN Refugee Agency and Nigerian authorities have so far registered some 2,000 Cameroonians who have fled into southeastern Nigeria since October 1st, while another 3,000 were awaiting registration. The agency warned that the new refugee crisis came at a time when Nigeria and Cameroon were already grappling with one of the world's worst humanitarian crises caused by the Boko Haram insurgency. The European Union has reiterated its commitment in tackling security challenges on the African continent. EU Deputy Head of Delegation Richard Young, speaking at the Peace and Security Conference in Abuja, said $430 million has been allocated for the preservation of peace and security in Africa from 2014 to 2020. The conference is organized by the African Union and the European Union to address key issues at the AU-EU Summit due for November 2017 in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire.
We have our different sources of funds allocated to peace and security from the 11th European Development Fund. Maybe under about 430 million has been allocated so far. And we have a particular instrument called the Instrument Contributing to Stability and Peace, for which we've allocated just under 130 million for peace building and security activities in Africa from 2014 to 2020. I think it's clear from all of this that the European Union is, I would like to call it, an all-weather friend of Africa. Okay? We're ready to work closely with, support and cooperate with Africa on dealing with peace and security issues.
Whatever structures that is being put in ground for peace, a specific forum must be created for the youth to meet among themselves, discuss among themselves, and then pass their message to a common forum eventually. If you're only thinking of a situation where you can absorb young people into existing structures, or create or put a little chair at the side of the table for a young person who claims to represent the youth, whereas they have not discussed with any young person, we will not really succeed.
Part of what we are trying to do is to draw attention to issues of early warning, and that is engaging, the essential gear for preventive interventions. So right now the mode for most countries is reactive, and so we really want early warning, early preventive activities to become the focus of engagement.
President Muhammadu Buhari has hinted he is ready to appoint more ministers into his cabinet. The president revealed this in his speech at the National Executive Council meeting of the All Progressive Congress in Abuja. He, however, did not indicate if he will do a cabinet reshuffle. Nigeria currently has 36 ministers, with 7 as ministers of state. The National Judicial Council has appointed Justice Suleiman Galadima as the new head of the 15-man committee to monitor corruption cases in the country. Galadima will replace Justice Ayo Salami, who rejected the appointment to become chairman of the committee. The setting up of the committee followed an order by the CJN to all heads of courts to compile and forward to the council comprehensive lists of all corruption and financial crime cases being handled by their various courts. The committee will be sworn in on Wednesday, November 1st. A former National Security Advisor, Sambo Dasuki, has asked a federal high court to set aside an order asking him to appear as a witness in the trial of a former PDP spokesperson, Olisa Metu. Metu had requested Dasuki's appearance in the trial, along that of former President Goodluck Jonathan. However, Dasuki is asking the court to set aside the order pending when he is released from the custody of the Department of State Service DSS. Jonathan has also refused to appear in the trial. The former president has requested a 1 billion naira travel expenses if he is to appear in the case. The judge has now adjourned the case to Wednesday, November 1st to rule on the matter. The Nigerian Senate has commended the dismissal of Babachir Lawal as Secretary to Government of the Federation, saying it has vindicated its position on investigations carried out by its other committee on mounting humanitarian crisis in the Northeast. It urged other committees charged with the responsibility of investigating other alleged corrupt matters in the country to accelerate action and report to the Senate for further action. Babachir was sacked on Monday and has been replaced by Bas Mustafa. The Standards Organization of Nigeria, SON, says it is in collaboration with the International Standard Organization, ISO, with a view to upgrading Nigerian cities. This is according to the Director General of the agency, Osita Aboloma. Aboloma was speaking at a symposium honoring of the 2017 World Standards Day in Abuja, the nation's capital.
The vexed issues of building collapses, fire disasters, flooding, improper waste management, and the like will be adequately dealt with the various professional bodies and associations. In standard issue, those rights to optimize the application of international standards in our daily lives. The Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment will continue to support the active participation of Nigeria in international standardization programs being coordinated by the Standard Organization of Nigeria to ensure that our nation continues to gain optimal benefits therefrom.
SON, as the national standard body in collaboration with ISO, are developing a standard. They call it ISO standard 3700. It works out, if that one is mainly for the literature for smart cities. It sets out clear guidance for establishment of smart cities. That is what we intend to deploy to Nigeria. When we do that, our cities will be smarter and things in the city will be more efficient. It's something we are doing with all other countries in the world. It's not peculiar to Nigeria. And it will be a welcome development in Nigeria to improve the standards of living through quality assurance.
The Lagos Fashion and Design Week is an annual international multi-day ready-to-wear exhibition held in Lagos, Nigeria. It is targeted to network and create business-to-business and business-to-customer relationship within the fashion industry. The 4-day event had a fashion business session with the theme Fashionomics and Disrupt Fashion. This aims to support the growth of the African textile and fashion sectors in 5 African countries, with focus on building the capacities of micro and medium-sized enterprises in the sector.
Since it was established in 2011, the Lagos Fashion and Design Week has become the most important fashion event in Africa, shining spotlight on local designers. In this hall are displays of designers eager to showcase their best designs to the world.
So they have the American dream.
Here at the fashion business session, some of the young designers spoke on their inspiration and challenges.
I'd always had that flair to go into fashion, so there was an opportunity presented to school in one of the fashion schools in South Africa, so I took the opportunity. It's influenced by my personal style. I like loose fits. I like easy to wear things that are not too, that don't look like you're trying so hard. Things that don't make you look like you're forcing. So basically, I make things that you can easily style.
Those are the key challenges that designers go through. Production, the quality of garments that come out from production. We have designers with impeccable designs and great ideas, but then find it very difficult to get the right workforce to bring out this design. So yes, that's a challenge, and also access to finance, because some of these businesses are startups, and as we all know, startups, they require a lot of mentoring, a lot of funding in that regard. Then for export purposes, ease of doing business, basically being able to handle logistics without headache and without high rates of logistics rates, basically.
Soon, the participants settled down for an expository interactive session with investors and professionals in the fashion industry. The speakers talk on ways to tackle the many challenges faced by the sector.
You as African designers have to be really like proud and strengthened about your culture and tradition and craftsmanship. So what I would suggest for African designers is to bring this on the catwalk, on stage, and try to give it a twist, of a modern twist.
So you pitch the story. The next question the investor will ask you, so who's the audience for this film? So you answer that because you've done your homework. The third question is, and who's the team behind this?
One of the sponsors of the event is the African Development Bank. The bank says it is set to partner the fashion industry to access the vital elements needed to achieve the true economic value of the sector.
We need a lot of capacity building, and that's why we're running this masterclass for 2 days. It's about showing our creatives you know, how to run a business, how to market a business, how to network, how to scale, how to get the resources that they need in terms of support. And at the same time, hopefully we are speaking to the policymakers in terms of them creating the right policy space and the right policy interventions that will enable young creatives to really be able to scale their businesses so that they're making a significant contribution to the GDP.
Speaking on how far the fashion industry in Nigeria has come, the founder of Lagos Fashion and Design Week, Omoyemi Akerele, says Nigeria has become the hub of fashion in Africa.
If we look around the room today, it shows it's a sign of evolution. We're having a pitch competition in here. We're having, you know, a conversation where we're talking about how investors can invest in fashion. That's a lot. In the beginning, we didn't even have business people who take us seriously. Now in the room, you have the Africa Development Bank, you have someone from Tony Elumelu Foundation, you have someone from Zenith Bank. That's progress. That's evolution.
Also, the founder Tony Elumelu Foundation says the fashion industry has come to stay and the government must throw her full weight to support the entrepreneurs in the industry.
Unemployment that we have, it will help to grow our GDP, and indeed it will help to catalyze even other tangential sectors. So we encourage this. I personally, the Tony Elumelu Foundation, we encourage and support fashion entrepreneurs, and we would like our government to help to create, continue to improve the operating environment so many more will succeed.
Research says the African continent accounts for about 16% of vast global textile market, valued at $1.6 trillion. It is therefore hoped that this platform will create the opportunity for fashion designers across Africa to achieve the global volume of textile exports. Ngozi Okoye, TV360, Lagos.
Not in my country. How work? Oh, correct, Oga. What is it that you are doing?
Oga, they command the part now. Make we go sell for.
Oga, na correct kuza be this so. Oga Titus and him boys them. They do am. They will command the original parts, sell them, make plenty kuza. No wonder our customers bring the generator back to our workshop because they bad. And not because of stuff. But because they overuse the generator. Plus say NEPA no they give them electricity. Before I open my eye, Makachuku look at my talk in the heaven. Replace this original generator parts back inside this generator of my customer. In short, before una do am, frog jump. One, frog jump. 1, 2, 1. Stealing of generator parts or changing of original parts to a fake one. That is the corruption. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Glad to have you back. Let's take a look at the world of business. Ngozi Okoye standing by with details.
Thank you, Fidelia. The federal government has raised 6.7 billion naira through the auctions of saving bonds in the last 8 months. This is according to the Debt Management Office, DMO. An analysis of data from the DMO showed that the saving bonds was highly subscribed in the first few months. At its debut offer March, Debt Office raised 2.068 billion naira from the 13.01% 2-year bond. Meanwhile, in April, 1.288 billion naira was raised through the 12.794% 2-year bond and 13.794% 3-year bonds. Subsequently, it raised 791.15 billion naira with yielding rise to 13.189% from 2-year bond and 14.189% from 3-year bond in May. Russia has signed an agreement with Nigeria to build and operate nuclear power plants in the oil-rich West African nation. The aim is to boost Nigeria's electricity supply. Reports say the cost is likely to be around $20 billion, the bulk of which is reported to be provided by Russia. Construction is expected to begin in the next 2 years. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources Emmanuel Ibe Kachukwu says the federal government will begin tracking its crude oil production by 2019. Kachukwu, who made this known in a broadcast released in Abuja, said the federal government is working with the Department of Petroleum Resources to create an IT platform to monitor crude production. He explained that the federal government is planning to conduct a licensing round for the award of oil fields in inland basins to companies for prospects of crude oil. According to him, the government is also working on the rules to guide the process, which will be conducted along with the marginal fields bid round. The Nigeria Stock Exchange ended the month in a positive as it appreciated by 0.54% to close at 36,608.29 basis points. In the same direction, the market capitalization for the day inched up by over 65 billion naira to close at 12,694 trillion. At the close of today's trading session, Nestle, Seplat, Dangote Cement and CAP PLC led the advancers table, gaining 22, 15, 5 and 1.62% respectively. The decliners table had Total, Better Gas PLC, Unilever and Nigeria Breweries topping. Transaction in shares of Diamond Bank, Fidelity, First Bank of Nigeria Holdings and Dangote Sugar topped the volume chart. A total turnover of 259.079 million shares worth 3.05 billion naira in 4,503 deals traded on the floor of the exchange. And that's it on business. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll bring you more stories. Don't go away.
Give him his shoes somewhere here, his phone and everything.
Don't do like that again. No.
Thank you. So, bye bye. Hey, Oga, where do you think you are going?
Oh, you never shake body.
Eh?
You never shake body.
Shake body, see?
Huh? You never shake body.
Eh?
Never shake body.
I no get comfort for my body.
You go take for here. Sit down there.
Man, what's this man still doing here?
They say I do shake body. I shake body, I shake body. They say I do this. And I say I don't get color.
You are asking for money.
Sorry, ma'am.
Asking for money to bail a suspect is an act of corruption. Both of you will be punished. Corruption is not allowed within the force. Remember,
police is your friend. Giving and taking bribe is wrong.
Corruption, not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Corruption not in my country.
Welcome back. 17 people have been killed with more than 30 others wounded following an airstrike in Libya's eastern city of Derna. According to reports, the city was hit by 2 separate airstrikes on Monday, killing over a dozen women and children. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack. Now, Libya has been wrecked by unrest since 2011, when a bloody uprising ended with the death of longtime leader Muammar Gaddafi. Police in the city of Beni in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo say they have arrested 9 demonstrators during a march to demand an end to President Joseph Kabila's rule. The arrest comes a day after clashes in the region left at least 2 people dead. The 9 were from a youth campaign group called Lucha, which means Struggle for Change. On to sports now. 2015 Under-17 World Cup champion Chidebere Nwakali and teenage goalkeeper Francis Uzoho have both earned their maiden call-up to the Nigerian national team. Super Eagles coach Gernot Rohr called up both players for November's World Cup qualifier against Algeria and friendly against Argentina. The Eagles will play an international friendly against Argentina on November 14, 2017. The game, which will be held at the Krasnodar Arena Stadium, comes 4 days after the Eagles' final World Cup qualifier against Algeria. Anthony Joshua says his promoter Eddie Hearn is already in contact with Tyson Fury to set up a British super fight. Joshua defended his IBF and WBA heavyweight titles with a 10th round TKO victory over Carlos Takam on Saturday, and now he has revealed his fight with Fury is more likely after the latter was cleared to return to the ring. The 2023 Rugby World Cup is set to be held in South Africa after the board of the sports governing body recommended their bid ahead of Ireland and France. However, the World Rugby Council could still opt for any of the three bids when it votes on November 15th. It is meanwhile expected to rubber stamp the recommendation, which has been supported by some unions, including New Zealand. Japan will host the next tournament in 2019. The first in Asia. Well, that's all on news now. Thanks for watching. I am Fidelia Aguncha.